Any AI or machine learning pipeline typically works or consists of these four sub pipelines. One is a data pipeline, second is feature pipeline, then third goes to the training pipeline, and finally fourth inference pipeline. In data pipeline, data typically brings or comes from different data sources, which could be your SaaS application, which could be your on-premise databases, streaming data, any different type of data, which is then brought back into through ETL, which is the extract, transform, and load process. The work of that is being extracting the data, transforming it to a typical format which your data lakehouse or other things can read, and then actually eventually load it into a either a NoSQL lakehouse or typically a lakehouse data stores. From there, data goes into the feature pipeline, and feature is nothing but characteristics or properties of a data. Typically, you sort it out in an order. So typically, if you're building an e-commerce pipeline, e-commerce based machine learning solutions, then maybe your customers, the type of purchase they make, and so on. If for legal, maybe legal documents and the customers and different properties of the data that goes into different based on the data formats that goes through the feature pipeline, and the features and attributes of the data is being extracted and stored in a feature store. Feature store typically may be vector databases, and there are a lot of those vector databases typically also used for RAG and other applications, which I'll explain you in a minute here. So data is being then pushed from this through feature pipeline into for fine tuning, as well as RAG, which stands for retrieval augment generation, and then pushed into the vector databases. Now, the vector databases can be used again from when we are inferencing at the time inferencing time to retrieve the data for customer specific or enriching your the requirement or response back through the LLM, which I'll explain you in a minute. And from here, you also on that feature pipeline, you'll be having a retrieval client, which will be extract the data from the vector databases and then push it into or giving it to the training pipeline for fine tuning or tuning the your training model. From here, it's going on to this going into the training pipeline. Training pipeline will be using this data that's coming on to further fine tuning and improving your machine learning model. There will be experiment and tracking, which will be tracking how my experiments or machine learning experiments, or when I'm training the data, how that experiments are behaving and the response they are coming. And then eventually a fine-tuned model will be created, and then fine-tuned model will be stored in a model registry. So in that model registry, you can have a actual model, the experiments that which being done, and the data on which that experiment is done, probably in a data store. So these combine together and build your uh, training pipeline. From the training pipeline, eventually the tuned, fine-tuned trained model is being done. That's being used or going to be used as you can use a custom LLMs, or you can further fine-tune that LLM and build and create a new model from there that'll be going to the being used by the actual then inference pipeline. This is the pipeline basically where client is actually retrieving the data or using that machine learning model or LLM on some things, or LLM with RAG will be this is client coming from your and accessing these models through a REST API. That REST API may be going for customer specific data for RAG retrieval augment generation, will be maybe connecting to the vector database and bringing that data, enriching the data and giving it, sending it through the retrieval client onto the LLM with RAG or your own fine-tuned model. And then you have prompt engineering and system monitoring, making sure that your responses and getting trained and further improvement are happening continuously on that. So this is the end-to-end AI or machine learning pipeline in a simple terms. Of course, there are a lot more goes in each of these phases as well. Now, this is and the things like this I'm going to cover in my free class. We are happening. I think we are doing so things like the whole end-to-end data engineering pipeline and machine learning pipeline on AWS cloud, right from what are the services that you should be building on AWS right at the data pipeline, the inference pipeline model serving all those four pipelines that we've seen further, including the multi-agent framework as well. So I'm doing this whole thing on AWS, how to learn AWS AI, data and cloud infrastructure, including this whole roadmap in order to get uh, the in excess of getting a $250,000 plus dollars salary in US or Canada. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Atul. I have close to 2.5 decades of IT experience. These are some of the clients I've worked here in the UK and Europe, and then remotely in US as well. Now, I've gone from earning less than $100 a month to moving to UK in 2004, and then since then earning 425, 500, 700, 900, excess of now £1,000 a day here in the UK. I run a three-step framework, including things that you should be learning in AI, machine learning, generative AI, agentic AI, including how to prepare resume, how to do the interviews, or build LinkedIn profile for authority, as well as on job support that you need. So if you're interested, there'll be a session I'll be doing either Saturday or Monday, link below this video. We're going to go deeper into how you should build your career in not just AI, but also underlying things like data and cloud that supports this AI. So we'll see you in this class. Thank you.